Welcome to Hack Talks, brought to you by the NetWitness Incident Response Team, your weekly dive into the hottest picks, the strangest twists, and you couldn't make this up moments in global cybersecurity. Every week, we break down what's happening out there, challenge a bit of conventional thinking, and of course, we crown this week's epic fail. And I hope you enjoyed our special epic fail countdown episodes of the last couple of weeks. My name's Gordon Dixon, your host based in Glasgow, Scotland. I'm joined as always by Stefano Maccalia, the director based in Rome, Italy. Ciao, Stefano.
Ciao, Gordon. Ciao, guys.
And James Sobel, senior manager, usually based in Merritt, Florida, but out on the road at the moment. Hi, James.
Taking the show to the road mobile here in Michigan. Shout out. Hey, guys.
Great to have you both here.
You will be assimilated.
All right, let's start with in the news, the stories that grabbed our attention this week. There's been no shortage of eyebrow raisers. And so let's start with you, Stefano. What's caught your eye this week?
Yeah, thank you very much, Gordon. Recently, Unit 42 published a brief threat bulletin regarding a cluster that they call Cyber Avengers or Storm 0784, ramping up attacks on Rockwell Automation ICS gear after years of going after Unitronic PLCs. They are installing basically factory talk on VPS infrastructures to probe, enumerate, and prepare access to industrial environments with a clear focus on critical infrastructure. The question is always that these type of actors, especially in the Middle East, are nowadays very active, and it's kind of like a well without the hand when we go deep dive into these type of let's say activities nowadays. And it seems that the OT targeting is expanding even beyond what was originally considered by the security researchers. So this is not a drill story, but it's a politically motivated actors with pre-positioning an industrial system, turning what used to be theoretical ICS war into this Tuesday.
That's some scary stuff, Stefano. Wow. And you know what? Hey, we always talk about scary stuff, and I know we try to keep it a little lighter. I hope people appreciate that, right? I mean, you can be serious and you can, not have a doom and gloom approach to it. But on our scale, this, I hope, sets some alarm bells off, right? It's one thing to have somebody's, personal information and maybe there's some financial fraud, but this is, actors pre-positioning themselves to do some potentially really harmful things. And anytime, for me personally, anytime you say OT, that my ears perk up, simply because that means, we're getting down to how things work, how things are connected and to the real world, not just the digital world. And that means it has real world impacts to individuals.
Yeah, I thank you for that, James. And just to close this aspect, this is one of the few cases, but is remarkable, where our IR team working traditionally in incidents and managing incidents is having a spike into the request for OT investigations. And to the point that we are currently planning to release a lot of content coming from these investigations in the coming months, because while we are obviously supporting the customers, we are also learning from the actors about the techniques, about the weaknesses, about the exploitation mechanisms that were not even released publicly by any other source so far. So it's really a very interesting and very challenging field that we are looking to explore much more into the coming months based on the current situation, even for the Middle East as anticipated. Gordon.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, as you say, when we see it appear more often in our workflow, then that really is a flag to the folk listening to and watching the podcast that it's coming your way. And what's concerning, I think what you've both said, is not just that this is being targeted once or twice. it will only expand from here as that capability by threat actors becomes easier to execute, because that was what used to stop them. It was so complicated and so difficult to be able to attack in this way. And if it's getting easier for them, then there's the chance that it's going to have success for them as well. So yeah, if you don't have OT understanding and insight and awareness on your radar now, then get it on there straight away, because they're coming for you. So James, what's caught your eye? What stopped you scrolling through your feeds this week?
Well, not exactly OT, but on that infrastructure side of the house, I saw something that really caught my eye, and this is Vericel, right? These guys are, web infrastructure, web deployment, web application capability organization, and they are disclosing a breach that they had where, and this is what kind of hurts, the attackers in this case gained access to certain systems in this provider, from this provider, apparently taking advantage of one of their employees using context AI, right? So employee trying to use AI capabilities for their day job, puts an extension into their web browser, uses that extension to log in, or the extension is live when they log into their Google Workplace account. And now the attacker, which has been exploiting this context AI browser extension, has access into the Vericel environment. Ouch, right? The plot twist is your attack surface isn't just enterprise, right, anymore, right?
Yeah.
It's your vendors, it's their vendors, it's their vendors. Right? You can see the frustration that something like this causes, right? We've watched this movie on repeat over and over again. Compromise the small SaaS startup, right, Stefano? Hit that AI, hit that small SaaS startup, because they're being innovators. They don't care about security.
Yeah.
Steal some auth tokens, right, that the SaaS provider's babysitting, and guess what you walk straight in to all those downstream companies. You got credentials. Who needs 0 days? I've got creds. I'm just a regular user. Maybe I should be onboarded, right? And agentic AI just, it cranks this up to 11, because you're giving AI all these credentials, all this access. You have to set up these AI APIs with the right authority and access, so that catches my news or my attention for what's going on in the news. And careful, folks.
Exactly.
You really got to go deep into your supply chain. Stefano, tell me something about this one.
Well, to be honest, we are walking right on the edge, on the boundaries of the epic fail abyss here. We are looking to the epic fail abyss just in front of us with this attack, with this situation. So I have a biggest one that I would reserve for later, but surely discussing about this one is already really concerning. And again, this is a typical situation now, let's say, connected with the evolution of the AI thing. And again, like for the OT case, we need to be careful. We need to really think about all of the consequences of our, let's say, walk into the new green fields of these topics like OT, like AI, even like a cloud. We are a little bit more comfortable about the cloud now because it's almost 10 years, but still I notice even in the recent, let's say, engagements we went through, a lot of, let's say, carelessness regarding the management of things. But getting back to the point, AI is surely another very important, let's say, environment for the growth of good things, but also very bad things. And the agentic AI, we discussed it already in some episodes in the past, even in Tales from the Dark Side, is really one of the hot topics, both from the IT and more in general, the social media, the newspaper. But from the other perspective, looking into the cybersecurity part of the thing is a problem, is a big problem. And again, if you are looking to interact with the AI, you don't even necessarily need an exploitation technique. You can simply chat with the bot and obtain things. So again, this is a very, very challenging things to address at the moment. And thank you for highlighting this, James.
And what struck me from listening to you both is that if you're an enterprise administrator thinking, I'm fine, I have a robust system in place to lock out my employees from accessing these things, is that true for every consultant, for every client, for everyone you are collaborating with, as you said, further downstream, that may be using things that, you are not fully able to prevent them from using and accessing? And what exposure do you then have for your data, for your information, because of the people you're working with outside of your employee base? So this is something that I'm sure we will return to again and again.
It just occurs to me that this is yet another one of the jobs that AI is impacting. We talk about all these white collar jobs, maybe developers, but identity and access management. I mean, what's the point now? AI is just crushing your capabilities in that area.
Resistance is futile.
Now on to the moment of truth. This week's epic fail. This is where we look at a cyber blunder, a slip up, or a downright questionable decision, and we rate it on our epic fail scale from 0 to 10. 0 is basically a rounding error, mostly harmless, and then 10 is the full what the FIM were you thinking. So let's break down today's contender. And Stefano, you're bringing this week's epic fail to us. What do you have?
Let me introduce the thing with a simple, let's say, expression. Nothing says, trust us with your house keys, like discovering the burglars got into your alarm company by the digital equivalent of trying the handle and find it already open. We are discussing about, I think, not just the epic fail of the week, probably the epic fail of the month. And it goes to the ADT. The people you pay specifically so stranger don't get into your stuff. And now, the shiny Hunters crew rang up, social engineered an employee Okta login, wandered into the ADT Salesforce, and walked out with millions of customer records, names, phone numbers, address, the works. ADT's statements say that it was only a limited set of customer and prospective customers' data, and that alarm system and payment details are safe, which is kind of like saying, good news, the burglars didn't touch the safe, they only stole the guest lists, everyone's phone numbers and map and things, and where all the houses or the codes to enter these houses are. So Shiny Hunter claimed over 10 million records and posted a cheerful pay or leak notice, dumping an 11 gig archive when negotiation didn't go their way. So guys, I think it's a bit beyond what ADT statement released, right? And discussed it. So I don't know, but this is surely a big thing. What you think, guys?
Boy, you are checking all of the epic fail boxes here, right? 10 million records, someone who is supposed to be securing your life, right? And then we talked about this a little earlier in the episode, right? I mean, this is ADT. Now we're talking about people who are looking at the locks in your house, about who are calling the police and the alarms and the fire detector. These are folks that you would hope would have a handle on security. And then, my favorite of this epic fail, one of the reasons I think this is an epic fail, Stefano, is, they're hitting the pattern, right? Vishing, downstream. Yeah, I mean, we're not no crazy hack. It's so easy. You're a security company, but it's so easy. They didn't have to employ any crazy cybersecurity hack to get in. Yeah, big time fail there. Gordon, what do you think?
Yeah, well, in sales, we always talk about trying to feel the pain, get somebody to feel the pain, and how much more painful is it, whether you're a small business or whether you are a homeowner, to feel that your security is no longer safe, that you are at risk. And so the targeting of a company like ADT is that sort of next level up. It's Champions League level kind of attack rather than just the regular steal some information. And so yeah, it's been very well executed and very well targeted, and as you said, the scale of it as well. So it's time to lock in those scores, but I'll go first. And this for me is an absolute 10. So I'm happy to put a pin in our first 10 since episode 3. James, let's go to you first, and then Stefano, what's your score?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're coming off the 10 episode 10, but boy, I feel this is way up there as well. Gordon, you're convincing me this is a 10. Stefano, you jumping on this train, or you keeping
Absolutely.
us down a notch?
Absolutely, but I want to also add a little bit more salt into the dish. What really make me present this, even from the one that you discussed in the news, James, the virtual one, is that there is not just the problem of the phishing, the connection with the social engineering, which is something that we notice in many other cases. Okay, it's not just the question of the shiny hunters getting their hands upon 11 gigs of Salesforce data. What is really make me really astonished is that they release, despite they were having ADT, I mean, they were having the chance to negotiate and to really understand what was going on. They were releasing a statement where they say that nothing really bad happened, and to downsides the impact of the, let's say, attack that you sustained is reasonable from one side, but it's totally, let's say, unreasonable from their, let's say, from the case of an ADT, from a company that is planned to do security, guys. They cannot be considered beginners. They cannot be considered like a SMB company that is not having, let's say, a background about security and cybersecurity. So you cannot release a statement saying everything is fine, don't worry, and the next day, the shiny hunters release all this data, and all of a sudden you discover that there are numbers, social IDs, cards, and many other topics and things connected with the private information of your customers. Guys, this is terrible.
Yeah, when your business is trust, you gotta, you can't betray that trust. That's a tough one. I feel a little bad for the folks at ADT here.
Yeah.
It's an epic 10.
Well, maybe as it is episode 11, and to channel our inner Rob Reiner and this is Spinal Tap, maybe for this one-off episode, the epic fail scale goes all the way to 11.
Nice.
I agree.
Very nice.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11.
And if you're listening and thinking, oh, I've seen a fail bigger than that, tell us more. We want your nominations. Send your suggestions for next week's epic fail. The bigger, the bolder, the better, and drop it in the comments below. So before we wrap up, let's flip the mood with this week's mighty win, something genuinely uplifting from the cyber world, a moment of competence, cleverness, or just a rare feel-good story in a sometimes gloomy landscape, especially maybe this week. And this week's mighty win comes from James. What have you got to brighten our mood today?
Yeah, you bet. And it's been a tough episode. A lot of great information, but boy, this has been serious. So here's the good guys fighting back, right? The good guys at CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency here in the U.S., UK cyber defenders as well, jumping in here to help thwart a stealth firewall backdoor. So don't panic. A lot of reasons to panic after the first couple first part of this episode, but here's a great case where the good guys win, and they were able to quietly and work diligently though to expose a deeply burrowed piece of malware on critical network devices, right? So CISA revealing this backdoor called Firestarter that had infected Cisco firewall appliances, and even this stuff was pretty bad, right? So we talked a lot earlier about the easy way to get in, making phone calls. Okay, here's the bad guy doing some movie-esque type of stuff where they're implanting malware into firewalls that'll survive reboots and updates. But instead of panicking, right, CISA and its partners take action. They release a report detailing what this is, how to deal with it, how to hunt down and eradicate Firestarters. A lot of guidance here about how to reboot and reimage and using Yara rules to detect the implant. Great work here. Happened rapidly, transforms this scary thing into a don't panic moment here, and swiftly uncovers it, mitigates it, and defenders can now get ahead of the attackers for once. Great win.
I totally agree. It's good work and a good teamwork, by the way.
Yeah. And I think that's something that comes up often when we think about mighty wins, is that collaboration between both kind of government agency or security agency and the commercial aspects. And also what I liked about your description, James, was that moving quickly as well. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, panic, now let's have months of meetings. It was fast acting, because that's the speed that the threat actors are going at, and we have to match that or exceed that if we want to get ahead of them. And I think that's what the mighty win says, isn't it? Thank you. That's huge thanks to Stefano and James for joining me. That's all we've got time for in this week's episode. This has been Hack Talks from NetWitness Incident Response, and we'll see you next time. So it's goodbye from me, Gordon, in Glasgow, and
ciao, guys, from Rome. Bye-bye.
Take it easy, everybody, from James somewhere in Michigan.
There we go. Thanks, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Goodbye.
You have been watching Hack Talks.